Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volume 13 of Spy Family. The volume starts off with Yuri coming to after having been knocked out by Twilight in the previous volume. Then we switch focus to Twilight himself, about to be unmasked by Wheeler, but he is luckily saved by Fiona and her rage. They captured Wheeler and then managed to escape the scene completely. Later on, Damien wanted to repay Anya for the handkerchief from an earlier volume by giving her expensive cake, which turned out to be easier said than done, but they did get there eventually. Your Anya and Bond helped their new elderly neighbor, Siegmund Authen, to find his way home. Then came the charity bazaar for disabled veterans, where the City Hall workers clashed with the Lady Patriot Society. Luckily, Melinda Desmond stepped in to de escalate the conflict there. And near the end of the volume, Anya starts studying with their new neighbor, Siegmund. And the volume ends with the written exam and leaving us cliffhanging on the exam's results.
Quite the cliffhanger.
Yes.
Indeed. And then I'm just going to quickly add that we had a chapter with UD and Chloe.
Yes.
Chloe kind of helping him out in a way, trying to help him see things differently. He probably takes in a different direction than she expected, but that was just a nice chapter to have.
It was, for sure. Yeah, just spontaneous thoughts. I was very happy with this volume. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was another entertaining Spy Family volume, I think.
Absolutely entertaining, funny, kind of shocking with how the first chapter went with Fiona. That was quite shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of great stuff and some good things to speculate about too.
Definitely, definitely. And there were some parts, and I'll get to it in the character discussions, but there were some parts that I really, really, really enjoyed. But we'll get to that.
Mm.
But let's start with Loid Forger. He justified sparing Yuri by saying it would compromise the mission if Yor would lose her reason to be married to him, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's partially bullshit. I think like whether or not he's aware of it currently, but like I do think he cares about Yor, and we've talked about this, I guess, before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he wants to kill Yor's brother, like just on a different level as well, because he cares about Yor. He doesn't want to hurt her that way. Plus, maybe on some level, he even cares about Yuri.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of interesting in the context of how it was said, and Fiona kind of interpreted or not interpreted per se, but she mentioned that the way he put it was kind of unfair.
Mm.
Uh, and the way I took that is he was hiding his true thoughts behind the mission, whether he realizes that or not. And maybe that's how Fiona took it. I mean, I think I think in Fiona's case, I don't think she thinks he's in love with her, but or your specifically, but I think she wanted that opportunity to talk about, you know, feelings and or have that brought up so that she could, I guess, say, "Hey, you're getting your love mixed in with your work. You can't have that," or something. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. But
Right.
regardless, I do think him saying it the way he did, even to Fiona, seemed a little fishy.
Yeah. For Fiona, like, I guess there's a chance that she's suspecting that that Twilight may have feelings for Yor, or well, on some level.
Yeah, certainly. I think that's a possibility. Um, and 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 maybe I'm jumping the gun with bringing in Fiona right now, but I just thought because it was about Loid that
Yeah, yeah.
him not being able to, or yeah, him not being able to express it truthfully at least in Fiona's eyes, has to mean something, that she's either suspecting something, or um, she thinks that the truth is hidden within the lies, or what have you. Anyway,
Mm,
so
yeah.
I agree with you that yeah. Long story short, I agree with you that he certainly is using the mission to hide maybe his actual apprehensions of killing Yuri.
Yeah.
Um, just using it as an excuse to hide
Definitely.
those feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then when Lloyd comes home early on in this volume, in his thought monologue, he was thinking that it feels like he's coming home for the first time in ages. Uh, that implies that he thinks of their household as his home, which I don't know, it might not be groundbreaking, but I thought it was still nice to know that he doesn't just think of it as a workplace, he thinks of it as his home, which means that he thinks of, having a home with Yor and Anya and Bond, which I don't know, I just think it's a sweet little detail.
That's fair. That's fair. You can make the argument that it's his base of operations for the time being. You know, I mean, he kind of has his own room, and I'm sure he, keeps everything hidden, of course. But it's his home for the time being. But I do agree that, I think to your point, when he walks in the door and sees yours beaming, smiling face, he
Right?
kind of just melts right there. Now, obviously, there's a couple of reasons why that happens. One, he's exhausted
He really
from that
is.
from that from that mission,
Poor guy.
and two, I think he's also relieved that Yor isn't fuming and angry. But
Yeah.
another way you could take it is that he's in a safe place. He's in his comfort zone, even though he doesn't realize that. None of this he realizes, but I think
Yeah.
emotionally or spiritually, he's feeling safe and in his comfort zone when he walked through that door.
Right, precisely, exactly. I think you're absolutely right about that. Considering, I think the fact that he just collapsed on the floor the moment he stepped inside kind of is a sign of that, because that's when he finally got, well, felt like he was able to relax even a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was also the part where he was thinking to himself that he lives in a world where only the perfect survive,
Yeah.
which is why. And then he was like, in his mind, he was, which is why, and then he was interrupted by Yuri's arrival.
Which is why Yor's the only person who can live in this world because she's perfect. That
Yeah,
would take a dark turn.
yeah.
I guess that would go down the Yuri route, I guess. But
It
he's okay
would.
because it's not incest.
Right, it's like
It's just
one step better than Yuri. No, but I obviously I don't know for sure what he was meaning, or where he was gonna go with that, but I did have the feeling that the monologue would continue to say basically that that he isn't perfect, and
oh.
because I think he started to feel that now, especially after this mission, which was partially a failure, and he was so beaten up afterward, or during, um, like he's feeling that he is not perfect, and
Mm.
because of that, he's gonna end up dying during a mission one of these days. He's not gonna survive in this world because he's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think deep down that makes him sad to have to leave Yor and Anya
Mm.
behind him that way, or for someday, maybe soon, just dying on a mission one day, and like it saddens him to have to leave, well, his family, uh, but well, obviously that is just a theory, but
Mm-hmm.
it was a direction where I could have seen his thought monologue going.
Mm.
But we also see yours smiling face on that panel, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that implies that,
She's perfect. Yes.
well,
I'm
that
I'm kidding.
she thinks of Loid as perfect.
Mm.
Like the smile that she's giving him in that moment, I think we can choose to read that way. That
Yeah.
as far as she's concerned, Loid is perfect, and that means that
Mm.
he will survive in this world.
Huh. I like that. Yeah, I like all those interpretations, whether they are mutually exclusive or you kind of put them together at the end there. That was good.
Hmm.
I took it a different way because Yor and Loid were talking about relying on each other, or specifically Yor wanting Loid to rely on her and having her be the caretaker in some aspects.
Yeah.
And I think for Loid, with his spy life, he's such a perfectionist, or at least he feels like he has to be, and everything has to be to the T, that he can't really let anybody, particularly in this kind of parroting environment, uh, take the reins for fear that it wouldn't be perfect. Now,
Hmm.
I don't know if it's fair to say that he thinks that she'd do an imperfect job. I mean, clearly she struggles with cooking at the very least, right? And so that's not necessarily something that he can know it will be done perfectly. That it won't be. But I think that when it was trailing off there, maybe it was more of a, or it was going to lead to him thinking of maybe I should let your help out more, but or maybe not I should let, or maybe more so showing that he's hesitant of letting your help. But I guess they already
Right.
showed that, so I don't know. That was just
Hmm.
kind of how I took it.
Fair,
Um,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too. And well, then he went and took a steamy shower.
Woo! Twilight fan service.
Absolutely. My goodness. Well, not necessarily speaking about this exactly, but I was watching an episode of Tintin, like the old animated Tintin,
Oh.
a while back, and I was like, man, Twilight or Loid or whatever, he seems. I feel like he's got to be inspired by Tintin. Just like in
I
their
can see that.
demeanor, kind of stuff like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. Just a weird thought I had, like, somewhat recently.
I seem to recall seeing some Tintin memorabilia and just random things here and there in Japan.
Hmm.
Kind of similar to how I would see Peanuts, Snoopy stuff.
Oh yeah,
So maybe it's not, it wouldn't be surprising if um, Endo had some inspiration by that as well.
yeah, right. But anyway,
Yeah, but I do like that image of him in the shower. He's like, "Pull yourself together."
yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
you know, thinking of my hot wife in the shower. Pull yourself together, boy. Stay focused.
Yes. No,
I,
it's excellent.
I feel like that panel is very meme worthy, and if it gets animated, I think people are gonna have. I mean, for various reasons, I think they'll have a heyday with it, depending on
Absolutely.
how they storyboard it.
Yeah,
I am excited for that.
very. Yeah, anything else on Twilight?
When you mentioned children suffering, this was in the
Mm,
the special extra file thing.
yeah.
Or actually, this was in the actual file. She mentioned it, but Loid was there in the extra file and heard her say that. Um, Loid took particular interest in that
Hmm.
because obviously we know that that is one of the driving factors for him to become a spy, something that we've known from the very beginning, but we've learned to know more about that in detail. And I think, I don't know, I'm not saying that that's going to be a huge plot point in the future, but I think it means something when someone that you're close to, even if it's, I guess for work, quote unquote, uh,
Hmm.
when they share a similar mindset to you, I think that kind of makes that person more endearing to you. You kind of gain a little kinship, at
Yeah,
least maybe just mentally. And so
definitely.
I think that is just going to improve his already great thoughts of Yor and maybe the relationship going forward.
Right. Yeah, I like that point. For sure.
At the
Every
very
little bit
least, I think it
counts.
left an impression.
Yeah.
Yes, every
Mm.
little bit counts.
Awesome.
Yep, and I think that's it. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the shower scene. It's so good.
All right. That's all on or sorry, on Loid.
Yeah,
Well then, speaking of your, let's move on to your. And I absolutely loved how she stood up for Millie Myers and dealt with those members of the Lady Patriot Society. Like, I think she made it very clear and very concrete that different people have different needs. And so to expect the exact same thing from everyone is a ridiculous idea. Uh,
yeah.
and like, yeah, like special treatment should absolutely be dealt to those who need it. And I loved the way that she stood up for Millie, and it was beautiful, beautiful. I wanted to just
She
clap my
dropped the
hands.
mic.
Seriously, I even got a bit teary eyed my first time reading it. It really touched me. It was so beautiful, so great.
Yeah,
Ah, beautiful.
agreed. Agreed. It was a great moment for Yor.
One of the
Yeah,
best, in my opinion.
really was, and it was kind of a small or short one. It
Yeah.
wasn't incredibly long, but it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she went on to clarify that her and Millie's generation suffered a great deal as well. Children losing their parents to war is a dreadful thing, obviously. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's just awfully selfish and ignorant of that Lady Patriot Society woman to assume that they had it easier than anyone else,
Yeah.
or that others haven't suffered also. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
In a way, I'd even argue that the generation who were kids to those who were lost might have even had it harder. Not that one should necessarily compare, but kids losing their parents is serious and really terrible.
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of entitled people in the world.
Hmm.
People who think their feelings are more valid than others, or
Yeah.
I don't know, for various reasons, feel like they need to be above others, and the world would be a better place if we tried to have a little more understanding for people's different feelings. Not to
Mm.
say everybody gets off scot free, you know, without consequences or things like that.
Right.
But I think it wouldn't hurt to be more understanding to people's um, physical disabilities,
Different
but also
needs.
mental disabilities. Disability is the wrong word, but you know their capabilities, I should say.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, Endo made a great job at making that character very,
Yeah.
very hateable.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think about Yor and Millie.
Oh, no,
Or,
no, no. I meant
or
the opposition,
yeah,
or
no,
whatever.
yes, yeah, no, that did a good job there too. Yeah, don't care to see her again.
Yeah, no. uh,
What a Karen.
for sure. I mean, this character, like, she wasn't even just like terrible with her views and everything that she was saying. She was about to like physically harm Millie
Yeah.
as well. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
anyway, what else do you got on your?
So, in regards to the fight that she was having with Loid, not real fight, but you know, the fight that Loid thought they were having.
Yeah.
She didn't want gripes per se. She just wanted Loid to rely on her a little bit more, and I think that's perfectly fair to have in a relationship. And we probably explored this before, but it still hasn't really come to fruition, at least as much as Yor would like.
Mm.
And honestly, this goes back to the perfection thing, where Yor sees Loid as perfect, and while that's great and her life is easy, she also feels that maybe this is me just reading into it. Maybe she feels a little distant from him because he's so perfect, and that she doesn't have to help out with anything. Um,
Yeah.
at the very least, she's not sharing the same amount of duties as she feels like she should be.
Right.
Um, but that goes back to your point with Loid, or to the discussion we had about Loid and saying, "Don't you see? I have to be perfect. This is the
Mm.
world I'm in. I have to be perfect." So maybe eventually, Yor will help Loid see that you don't need to be perfect.
Yeah,
Perfection is not only impossible, as it's unnecessary.
for sure. Definitely that. And I think maybe also that maybe Yor feels inferior to Lloyd in some ways, um, because she can't do all the things that he can, in the household and whatnot.
Definitely cooking, yes.
Right. Well, yeah, like that. Maybe specifically that, but yeah, yeah. I guess maybe there isn't much more than the cooking, to be fair. Um.
I mean, she did burn his clothes.
Oh, there is that too.
Uh,
Right. Yeah, she isn't great at doing housework. Maybe in general. Um.
she can make a
So
mean cup of tea.
yeah, but yeah, like, but if she's feeling inferior to his household abilities, I guess that could cause like a rift of some kind, or at least cause a distance of some kind. Which,
Uh,
if it does exist, I'm hoping that she can get over it. But like, I'm not saying there is that they're distant, but that obviously they're not lovers yet, and that
yeah.
that like it's that distance between them that may still exist for sort of, or partially, those sorts of reasons potentially.
I think that when you rely on someone, you're showing that you love them
Yeah.
in some capacity. Obviously, it depends on the circumstance, but particularly when you're sharing a living space and you are sharing the duties of, let's say, raising a child, I think there's an amount of love there, an amount of trust that has to build up. And I'm not saying that she feels unloved or not trusted, but I don't blame her for feeling that maybe she's being more of a freeloader than she should be, even though Louis doesn't see it that way at all.
Mm,
Maybe that's just a feeling she has. Maybe that's insecurity. I don't know, but
right.
um, I could see that being something, and that's why she wants to help out more. Say, hey, you know, I I feel bad that you have to do everything. I want to help too.
Right.
And in that case, yes, I think they could get closer if that were to happen. However, I don't think, as you're saying, that a rift would come because she would feel inadequate. If there's going to be a rift in this story between the two, I really think it's going to come down to what their real occupations are. I really think that's going to be the main one. Yes, you can have minor ones, like we just had in this previous arc, but that was more of a misunderstanding. I
Yeah.
guarantee you we'll have more misunderstandings in the future.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I don't think that there's going to be a moment where they're kind of doing the silent treatment to each other, or things are awkward, say, unless it has something to do with one finding out the truth about the other, in my opinion.
Fair, right. And to be clear, I didn't mean that there would be like necessarily a rift between them because of the way that she may or may not see things, but rather that the fact that she may, well, the potential fact that she may feel inferior might be might be part of the reason what's keeping them away from not completely becoming lovers, I guess.
Ah, I see.
Rather
I
along
see.
those lines. Uh, but I agree with what you said as well.
Yeah. So not so much a future plot point, but more
No.
so what could be potentially holding them back right now.
Yes, yes, thank you. That
Gotcha,
holding her
gotcha,
back, that's a great way of putting it.
gotcha. Well, yeah, I agree. Yeah, some good stuff between Yor and Lloyd, and um, I'm always down for more. But I
Hmm.
feel like with the success of this manga, that's going to be prolonged even further. But I'm okay. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, I wonder how much longer. Are we halfway through the manga? Or have we barely gotten started? I don't know.
That'd be wild. I mean, it's up to Endo and his editor, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm pretty sure I've said this before. Hopefully, it's been on a podcast. But there was this for a while there. There was this thing where, oh, Endo, I feel bad for him because he's doing a manga he doesn't like. He's not passionate about. That's not true.
Right.
People took it out of context. They didn't actually read the interview
Uh-huh.
and what was said. It had something to do with more so the kind of character he was writing. He felt inadequate, or I can't actually. It's been a while, so I can't remember exactly. But it wasn't because he didn't have passion for the story. He likes these characters. He really loves them.
Right.
Uh, Anya, if you follow his Twitter, Anya is like in every post he makes. He
Yeah.
loves Anya.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like I was gonna bring up his social media as well. Like he continuously like makes little doodles and fun like drawings just for his social media, and how that
Yeah,
I feel like that shows how much he loves his characters, and well, maybe Anya, the mascot especially, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he's also a big Idol fan. Like he has, I don't know the Idol group. I'm not familiar with the Idols, but there there was a couple of idols who graduated from the group, and he just like put Anya just so depressed in a corner, like as if it was him uh, trying to draw the next chapter, but he's just like super depressed. And
Oh.
then the next tweet was just Anya sleeping on the in the futon, just super depressed, dark. It
Wow.
was. I mean, I feel bad for him, but also it was funny to see Anya reacting in that way. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there because
Yes.
I had heard it again recently. I was like, no, 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 no,
Mm.
that's not the truth.
Plus, I also feel like you can feel the heart when you read the manga itself. Like
You really
there
can.
is heart in it in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else on your?
No.
Then let's talk about her brother Yuri Briar.
Nice.
Props to this guy for being able to tell that Lloyd's arm was hurting in the kitchen. I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah.
But it's interesting now that after he tried to reveal in that moment that Lloyd was Twilight, but that failed obviously. So at this point, I guess he has ruled out Twilight as someone who could, or well, he has ruled out Lloyd as someone who could be Twilight. Um, but despite that, he still wants to find a way to incriminate Lloyd. So I wonder what that could lead to eventually. I feel like it could possibly, for way further down the line, I guess, lead Yuri to uncover the truth about or behind Lloyd.
Yeah.
Well, he will be pushing Lloyd so much, and like trying to find just the smallest little things to incriminate him, and maybe that will lead him to finding out that he's Twilight sometime soon, or not soon, in the future.
Yeah. I agree, and I think it's going to be harder for Yudi to follow up with that uh, than he may realize. In that, I think, particularly with this volume, I think it's established, or he's making progress in recognizing other people's feelings. And when I say other people, I mean yours feelings. um,
Yeah,
because if Yudi were to die, you would be upset. Oh, I don't want that to happen.
yeah,
And following along with that logic, if Loid were to be captured and found out, uh, that would make her upset potentially.
mm.
And so maybe that could cause a conundrum for him. And in the very beginning of the story, or a few volumes in, wouldn't have been an issue. He would have done it on the spot. But as we get farther along in the story, maybe there's some sort of, not just better understanding yours feelings, but maybe there's a bond that will grow between Lloyd and Yuri.
Yeah.
it may it may seem hard to believe right now, but I could see them growing closer in some aspect for their own needs, and that Yuri acknowledges that you're needs Loid, or Yor loves Loid.
Hmm.
And anyway, so that could be a very interesting plot for, or a narrative point for him to have to deal with, a conflict for him to deal with.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm really wanting to see Yuri grow to the point where he kind of stops obsessing over his big sister the way he does. Like,
Yeah,
well, I don't think he will ever fully stop.
right.
I think even if he ends up having an arc of some kind, even though it might be small, like even if he goes through something and he does come out like better at the end of it, I think they're still gonna remain like at least a partial obsession about her. Um,
Hmm.
but I do well. I'm hoping that he may still improve in terms of obsessing over his sister.
Yeah.
But he starts feeling really bad in this volume and very inferior after having lost to Twilight.
Yep. He felt very very inferior, and I get it.
And for sure, for
uh,
sure. It was just interesting to see him that way because we haven't really seen him that way before.
yeah. That chapter kind of gave us a newish side to him,
Hmm.
where we saw him in his college, well, I guess his 14-year-old days,
Yeah,
a little bit, and things like that. So it was nice to see a little more to him than just crazy sister obsessed man,
definitely.
even though that's still a big part of his personality.
Yeah, yeah,
Going to dedicate himself to defense and elusiveness. So,
yeah. I love how that's the
good luck
conclusion he
with
drew from from what Chloe said.
it.
So silly. Uh, but hey, maybe it'll save his life one day.
Would not be surprised.
Do you have anything more on Yuri?
No.
Then I just have some well minor things about it's barely about him, but I put it in his part of my notes. Um, in the scene where he was the bus drove into him on the street, we could see the traffic lights in those panels, and those are the exact
Hmm.
pedestrian traffic lights that they use in Germany. They are like because they have a specific look to them in Germany, and I thought it was nice to
Hmm.
see that they were used here. And yeah, it's just another one of those little things that makes us able to compare the setting of the story to Cold War Germany. Since obviously we've talked about this before, but I thought that was a nice detail. And there was another thing when they were helping Siegmund to find his way home. They walked by a building that resembled very much the television tower in Berlin. It looks like a spear, kind of. So that was also another nice little detail.
Yeah. Wow.
But with that, let's move on to Siegmund and Barbara Authen. Poor Siegmund got lost outdoors. um,
Poor guy.
it was I feel so bad for him. It seems now I don't know for sure, obviously, but it seems that he's in I guess relatively early stage of dementia. Uh,
Mm.
so he has some pretty bad moments, but he also kind of comes to from time to time and realizes how forgetful he
Yeah.
is. And seeing those I guess instances also kind of makes me sad because he's aware of I guess of his illness, I guess you could say, and that is I guess I don't know, it makes me sad in a way, but at least I am glad though that he is still there partially.
Yeah, and it seems that when he's focused on teaching,
Hmm.
focused on something that, you know, is holding his attention,
Yeah,
the forgetfulness doesn't happen.
right.
Dementia doesn't take hold as much. It's when his mind kind of starts to drift into other things
Hmm.
that he starts forgetting where he is and what he's doing, things like that.
Exactly. And I think especially when he's like alone outdoors in a place that he doesn't know, like I think that makes it makes it worse, especially.
Right.
But when he's at home with his wife, I think that that's a safer place where he may be a bit better in general. But I liked your point about like while he's tutoring Anya, like it's probably extra good. And that was such a sweet little montage.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good montage. I like that. Gotta just say that his love for his wife is very cute as well.
It is.
He he just throws in like little love sayings to his wife here and there. It's funny.
Yeah, it's very cute. So cute. And I love how it seems like Barbara and Siegmund will kind of become grandma and grandpa of sorts to Anya.
Yeah.
That is very nice. I wondered if their name, Authen or Authen or whatever, if it's supposed to mirror the Forger family's last name, like how the Authen family is authentic or authentic,
Uh
while the Forger family is forged, aka not authentic.
huh.
Was a
Maybe.
thought I had.
I think that's a good comparison.
Hmm.
Um, I have no idea if Althen is German or something. It sounds like it could be German, but I don't know
I,
how.
I was trying to think about that. I haven't, to be fair, I haven't looked anything up actively, but I did study German for 6 years in school, and they don't have the th sound, like the th sound or the sound in
Oh,
German. So with that, I feel like it might just be a play on authentic, but that's just a guess though. But yeah,
I see. I see. Well, forget about me saying it sounds like German.
it's all it's all
I
good.
don't know what German sounds like.
All good.
But I do like that.
Hmm.
I am curious to what extent we'll hear more about Sigmund's time during the war. I don't think he's anybody nefarious, although you never know with someone with a background like this. But I'm inclined to think that it's not going to be he's not going to be a antagonist of any kind or someone who was doing terrible things. Although again, you can't say for sure.
Mm.
But I think his research that he was doing could potentially have an impact on the story in the
Mm.
future. Um, I don't know, just something I thought while reading it.
I like it.
But for sure, he'll continue to be a tutor for Anya.
Yeah.
I'm curious if he's going to help her out with any of the other subject because it seems that he just focused on the classical language, uh, which I guess is good, but I feel like she's going to need more than just that, right?
I think so for sure. And yeah. Well, next volume when we see the results, I guess we'll know.
True.
Is that all on the new neighbors?
Yes.
Great. Then let's talk next about Damien Desmond. I still love how Anya looks in Damien's eyes. It's always so fun to see that, and
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
sweet too. Um, and like every time I see that, it's so great.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. And yeah, he wanted to give her cake, a piece of cake, and he really didn't have to do that, but he wanted to do that. That little tsundere. And it was a sweet little chapter.
Yep. Yep.
We learned that his mom, Melinda, procured the rare cake for him, and apparently she wants him and Anya to become friends, which was a nice reveal, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I think for whatever reason, I'm really not sure why, but she thinks very highly of Yor. I mean,
Yeah.
I know why I think highly of Yor, but why Melinda is so, I guess, captivated, is that the right word?
Hmm.
Enamored with her? I'm not entirely sure. I know that we had that chapter with the volleyball and them all having tea and things like that. But she's seems to be just all in on this friendship with Eeyore and having Damien and Anya get close together. Awesome. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen is what Melinda is saying.
Yes.
Um, so I mean, whatever's good for the mission works. No, but I
Mm.
I I'm glad that's the case. And for whatever reason, Melinda is very much likes Yor and potentially her daughter.
Exactly.
Um, I, speaking of Melinda, there was mentionings of rumors about Melinda
Mm-hmm.
being part of I don't know, a satanic ritual or cult or something like that.
Right.
Do you think any of that is true? Not. I don't think it's gonna be. I guess the reason why I say that is I don't think it's exactly true. But could you see these lady patriot ladies maybe like secretly having some sort of strange club or strange I guess I don't know. Club is the best word I can think of, but rituals that someone saw and maybe thought it was satanic, but really it's just I don't know. It doesn't sound something like high class lady to do. Maybe Melinda in the background is going to like some nerd convention thing and she's LARPing or not.
Eh, no,
I don't
well,
think those really existed back then. But.
my thought about that comment was just that we know at least that Melinda can appear very terrifying at times. And
True.
I think maybe that has slipped out at one point or another, and just some people have become scared of her for various reasons and started spreading those types of rumors for those reasons, maybe.
Yeah,
That's my best
that
guess.
makes sense because well, although most people are kind of put off by her, not they're afraid to offend her
Mm.
because of who she is. She seems like on the outside, a very kind, friendly, heartwarming person. Uh, Understanding, especially after this volume. I mean,
Definitely.
I was kind of like, man, Melinda rocks after the whole
Absolutely.
Lady Patriot stuff.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Not to skim over that, but that was great. But we, as the readers and Anya, know that there is a dark side to her, some sort of side that we don't quite understand. But yes,
Right.
feels very menacing in some ways. So yeah, I could see someone having seen that side, thinking that maybe there was something demonic about it.
Right. But yeah, I loved how Melinda really resolved the conflict just with just pure straight up kindness.
Yeah,
Like that was really everything that she did, and it worked wonders. It was beautiful to see that.
yeah. I mean, Millie throwing her frustrations out of her, the way she took it was very admirable and was very mature of hers, understanding Millie's feelings and in a way apologizing and not belittling that. So yeah, that was very good. I don't know if it's all politics. Um, you know how sometimes people can hide their true feelings in some cases,
Mm.
uh, just through a thinly veiled smile. But uh, I part of me thinks that that's not necessarily the whole truth of the matter when it comes to Melinda.
Hmm.
Or let me rephrase that. I think Melinda is more genuine than maybe some politics or some politicians usually are.
Yeah, right. I'm inclined to think so too, despite her dark side.
I mean, yeah, that dark side. I mean, really, it's really about her son and husband. Really.
Precisely, and possibly mainly her husband, maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean,
At least I hope so.
I I assume that the disdain towards her son stems from her hatred towards her husband. I would assume.
Precisely. Yeah, right. Gotta be. But yeah. I can't wait to get to know Melinda even more. But I guess
Yeah.
we were technically talking about Damien. Do you have anything more on him?
No, I didn't really have a whole lot of him.
Right.
I thought the chapter was really cute
Hmm.
between him and Anya, but really don't have much else.
Cool. And anything else on Melinda?
No,
Then let's move on to Chloe.
I like Chloe.
I'm not sure if we've seen her before this volume, right? This was her introduction.
Uh,
If she's been in a previous volume, it must have been very minor, if at all.
yeah, no, absolutely. But I think she might have been in the previous volume just because it was the Wheeler arc.
Precisely.
Uh, so I think that would have been her introduction, is what I'm thinking.
I had that thought as well, but I
Technically
didn't look
speaking.
anything up.
No, I didn't. I mean,
Uh,
I probably could have, but uh.
oh well.
But either way, this is her first time really getting any screen time.
Yes. I agree with you. It was very nice to get to know this new character. We learned that she works for the SSS, obviously, and she went to college with Yuri.
Yeah, went to college, and because Yuri was at college at 14, depending on when she entered in college, she's at least 18 years old, or at that time. So there's at least a 4 year difference, maybe more.
Right. Does that put her at your age? I guess about your age, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which I don't know, leads to some interesting theories.
Yes, it
um,
does.
but despite all that, despite their years difference in her being his elder, he is now ahead of her in the rankings.
Precisely. She seems like a comparatively newer recruit to the SSS. As well, or at least that's the idea I got when she was talking about what like that when she learned that he had joined the SSS. She probably wouldn't have learned that until after she joined and whatnot.
Oh,
But anyway,
yeah, good
um,
point. Or yeah, I don't
no,
know. Who knows?
yeah,
Maybe he skyrocket. Maybe she already had joined because she's an adult and he was not an adult until
oh yeah,
he turned 18, maybe.
maybe
And then he just skyrocketed ahead of her because of his skills, maybe.
could be. I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
wouldn't
I
be
don't know how.
surprised.
I probably should know how that works, but
But yeah, I was also thinking about shipping stuff with her and him.
I can't help it.
And neither can I at this point.
Okay, well, I'm glad it rubbed off on you. No, I honestly was going to go into it, not even really going to try to go in that direction. I was just going to say, hey, look, they can just have a work relation, platonic friendship. Uh, but it's hard. Old habits die hard. And honestly, with the age gap being a thing, but I mean, they're both adults.
Right.
But I agree with you that could potentially put her at the same age as Yor, and so that not saying that she would be a replacement for Yor, but that could hit a I like older women, older sister vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Right,
that's the thing that.
absolutely. No, but I don't think. Well, I think I'll say first of all, I don't think the age gap is an issue. I think that
No,
they seem
absolutely not.
close enough in age, and I think what really honestly even sparked my idea for this ship was when the very brief comment from Chloe suggesting that they pose as lovers in case Yor would see them together.
That too.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that sparked the thought for me, and then I was thinking, like, could that be foreshadowing to what's happening in the future of the story? uh could they become a real couple? Remains to be seen.
We've talked in the past how Yuri needs to move on from his sister
Yeah.
in some ways, and we were trying to play matchmaker and at least with like not try. I guess I should say trying, but I definitely remember thinking, oh, what if him and Fiona got together in some way?
Yeah.
Not that I thought that would ever happen, but that was definitely a thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
But I think that it would do him good to move on and find or grow his family. You know, I mean, he could still love Yor with all his heart, of course,
Right.
but it is a bit unhealthy. So
Yeah, big
it would be
time.
nice to have something a little more uh, grounded in reality, or I guess it is real to him. But anyway,
Yeah, no.
yeah, it would be nice. It'd be nice if they went in that direction for the story. And Chloe seems like a great character, and while Yuri's a handful, uh, they have a good dynamic going.
Yes, I love that chapter with them.
Yeah, the slap was shocking. I don't. Did I see it coming? I can't remember, but it was it was not cathartic, but it was satisfying. It was satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, and I think ultimately I think maybe he needed it. I think well, at
Yeah.
the very least he needed the 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 talk as a whole, like their entire interaction as a whole, I think was needed for Yuri.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So maybe if the fact that it started out with those two slaps, maybe that was needed as well.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, he can take those slaps. I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
that's nothing. Like
Yeah.
he was knocked over by a bus, like the same volume. So like,
Yeah.
awesome. Let's talk next about Fiona Frost, a little bit at least. Her breaking her arms and legs in order to beat up Wheeler was absolutely crazy and absolutely
That's
incredible.
wild.
Absolutely.
I mentioned this the slap. Chloe's slap was somewhat shocking. That was just completely shocking,
Yeah.
surprising. I did not see that coming whatsoever.
My goodness. And I love also how later on she drew the conclusion that all of the training that she did in the woods to get revenge on Yor could have actually been what saved her from being more seriously injured.
It makes you wonder if Yor is able to perform the feats of strength she is without having to unleash or inhibit hers or whatever. What what is her strength like if she were to enter the same state as Fiona? I
Mm.
just it was a thought I had, but
Yeah.
that'd be wild. There was a little moment with Sylvia and her, and how Sylvia is aware of Fiona's feelings for
Yeah.
for Twilight, and yeah, that was fun. She thinks it's adorable.
That was very interesting. The fact that Fiona knows, or sorry, that Sylvia knows. Like not even Twilight knows that. uh, but Sylvia has somehow figured it out.
It's not exactly hard to figure out.
I guess
It
so.
is for Loid. It is for Twilight. Like that.
Yeah, yeah. It is for
He's
Twilight.
completely oblivious to it. That's what makes it funny, though.
It absolutely. But yeah, I guess it could lead to something fun now that we know that Sylvia knows. Like maybe she will involve herself in
Yeah.
some way at some point. Could be fun.
You know what's interesting? Because I believe it was Sylvia who assigned Twilight to the mission,
Yeah,
and she's supposed to be in charge of the whole thing.
yeah.
The reason why Fiona wasn't the wife is because she was on another mission.
Exactly at the time of
Did
the.
Sylvia
Mhm.
did Sylvia plan that? Even though she knew that
Oh,
Fiona has feelings?
oh man, that's.
Maybe she didn't want. I know that'd be crazy, right?
Ah.
Maybe she didn't want Fiona raising Anya because she knew Fiona would potentially ruin it. I don't know.
Either that, or she wanted to prevent like work colleagues from like
Oh.
coupling up,
Even though she thinks it's adorable.
even though she thinks it's adorable. I don't
Oh.
know. I don't know. I obviously had not thought about this before now, but
Right. No. Same actually. Or maybe it was just she didn't figure it out until afterwards. But who knows?
yeah, right. Maybe it was just an unfortunate circumstance. Well, unfortunate for Fiona.
Fiona. Yeah.
Not really for anybody else.
Yeah. There's got to be a losing heroine.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
at least in this story, there will have to be. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean that moment. Sorry, just to go back. That moment with Wheeler and her is just
Yeah.
epic. You have no hope of beating me because I like how she swung his ideology back at him. He was saying that I don't trust anybody. I'm not close to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I pity you. You're so weak because you can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
You can't get close to anybody. I trust. I only think of one person. And
I think of him, and I think of him, and I think of him, and I think of him, and I think of him.
Yeah. It was a really good chapter of her going further beyond plus ultra.
Yes. For sure.
I mean, it really did make me think of Deku, though.
It
Like with her breaking her
definitely,
arms.
yeah. I didn't make that comparison, but that definitely is similar. Wow. So good. Is that all on her?
Yeah.
Then, do you have any other minor character you want to talk about?
Millie, I mean, it's really some surprising character depth for her.
Yeah.
Didn't really expect that. Her dad dying in the war, even though she didn't really know him. I mean, that kind of made her alone, and it had a really hard effect on her. You can see kind of the mental toll that veterans event had on her.
Precisely.
And yeah, it was really nice to see kind of this physical or this mental pain that sometimes you don't get in stories like this.
Right. Like Spy Family does stuff like that from time to time, but pretty scarcely. But yeah, getting to see her anxiety portrayed in a pretty good way, what was really nice.
Yeah.
And I also really enjoyed getting to know Millie Myers a bit.
I agree. Being a child of, or being a military brat, being someone who was raised by someone who served in the military, it's yeah, I could see why that would be really hard.
Mm.
My dad had a time where he was deployed into the Middle East, and I was older, so I was a high schooler when that happened. But so I had an understanding, but it would have been devastating if my dad never came back.
Of course.
So I can totally sympathize with Millie there. Anyway, yeah. So maybe we'll see more of it. I mean, she's kind of been a brat this entire story for the most part. I mean, she has her moments, but I don't know. It would be nice to see a new side of her.
Yeah.
Or see more of this side of her. Not to say I want to see her in anxiety-inducing situations, but more character depth.
Right.
I guess,
yeah.
Wouldn't be bad. Of course, she is a minor character, so I'm not expecting much.
Yeah. No, but it was still a very welcome surprise to see her this way in this volume.
Yeah, I agree. Frankie, he sells his stuff for charity at the veterans event.
Yeah.
Perhaps he has some guilt for running away.
Right.
Although he kind of like plays it off jokingly. I don't know. It's kind of somewhat hard to read, but
right.
I feel like there had to be something there.
I got a little bit annoyed that it was played up as a joke.
Yeah.
But I get it, I guess. But yeah.
Because I think you could still be grateful that you ran away from that and not regret your decision, but still feel guilt for all the people who did die, and you're still live. I think you can have those arguably conflicting feelings inside of you.
Definitely.
And maybe he does, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hides it through joking, or maybe he's serious. Who knows?
And he said like, oh, my acquaintance's brother said this or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Maybe he just said that as a cover. Maybe it is his own genuine feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for sure,
Right.
but
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is the
I
case.
hope it is the case that it's
Yeah,
his
yeah,
own thoughts. Like, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
He shot his shot with Millie though.
yeah. Oh, big time.
Um, I mean, I was kind of waiting for that. As soon as they came to the stall, I was like, okay, when is he gonna try to take a shot at somebody?
Hmm.
And then lastly, I just wanted to shout out Henderson again because it's
Yeah.
always get a chance to shout him out. Correct me if I read this wrong or not. When they were eating tea cakes and Damien was explaining why he wanted to give it to Anya so bad, she was a Anya was about to spill the beans with the handkerchief, and then there was a gah. Was that supposed to be Damien or Henderson? Like not wanting to hear it.
uh oh,
I
I feel like it's gotta have been Damien trying to like
right?
interrupt her.
Yeah, it was just strangely paneled because is that a verb? It was just strangely put there
Mm-mm.
because there was a line indicating who was saying it. It was off screen, so it almost looked like it was in the area of Henderson.
That is true, but if you look at how the speech bubbles are shaped
Uh-huh.
on that specific panel, the the ga bubble, it has the same type of outline, like bubble outlines, as the one that is clearly from Damien. So I think, like, I didn't think about that until just now that I'm looking at it. While Anya's has just kind of plain shape, and Henderson's has another type of look to it that's different from the other two. So I think with that, I think it's safely Damien
Yeah.
who got
And there's a who God.
who God.
Um there's a second instance of the Ga, and that one, well, it's still it's not entirely clear, but I think it's still it's clear enough to show that it was Damien who did that. It would be especially
Oh
weird
yeah.
if it was Ga and then Henderson said what he said. So
These cakes are
um,
quite precious.
well, that one I actually well, now I am ashamed to admit that's what got me to think it was Henderson at first because I thought he was
Mm.
trying to change the subject.
Yeah, and I can
Um,
see that. I can see that. But it's
but
still,
I think it is Damien.
it wouldn't be elegant to just gah like that.
God, you're
Like
right. It would be. I mean, but I guess my whole reasoning for that was maybe he could understand, oh, it was probably to save Damien, who had unfortunately broken the rules, and maybe he just, was like, oh, look, these cakes, these are quite good, or something. But
Yeah.
either way, anyway, point is, uh, Henderson's a outstanding guy, and
Oh yes.
yeah, they're very blessed to have a teacher like him.
The personification of elegance.
Really though, really though. Yeah, that's it for me. I'm ready to talk about comedy.
Yay, let's talk about the stuff that make us go haha funny. I want to start by talking about Fiona, who thinks of Twilight as her little toy knife with a retractable blade, sproing.
Uh,
and also her internal reaction when Twilight was carrying her, like she thought she was literally gonna die then.
oh my gosh, that was so funny.
Yeah.
Your burning Twilight's clothes, I thought was hilarious. Just thinking very seriously about stuff, and
Yeah.
and then he's thinking about Yuri and
Mm.
runs into the smoke and whatever. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
She just tried her best.
She really is. And same thing with the breakfast that she made the day after. Like, she was, like, literally doing battle against that cooking. Or when she did the breakfast, which she has improved with. Like, even Anya
Yes.
could confirm that.
Bond doing the animal impressions
Yeah.
was cute.
Very.
Shaping into the alpaca, or trying to do a giraffe, but
You're right.
alpaca instead.
Definitely looked more like an alpaca. And I also liked in that scene, or earlier on in that scene, I guess, how Anya's new lion plushie looks like her chimera, because it's certainly not the other way around.
Yeah, the line that looks like the chimera. Yeah, exactly. Um, but at the end of that chapter, you had Frankie come in, and then Anya was like, "Let's do it to Scruffy," and one of the lines was talking about bond. We had a bond.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Basically talking
Yeah.
about how the dog betrayed him or whatever. Is pretty funny.
It is. Yeah. Good wordplay. I guess on Frankie, in the confidential files bonus, in this volume, we got to see more of Frankie's weird inventions, and yeah, he had a telephone that will brush your teeth and clean your ears, as well as a stool that toasts bread while you sit, and a hair dryer that can give anyone Frankie's hairstyle, which is pretty brilliant.
That's useful.
Yeah.
Millie, no. Not the hair dryer, Millie. At least she used it.
Yeah. She seemed to believe in it.
So the Damien chapter, Damien Vision in full force. Anya's drool phase when she's thinking about the food, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean that could be emote worthy.
Honestly, yeah, I thought so too. It's so good.
And then their creeped out faces when at the very end, like both Anya's and Damien's, just so great. How many times do I have to tell you, stop getting hit by trucks? That's not something you have to tell someone multiple times.
No, right. Precisely, you wouldn't be able to tell someone that multiple times normally. Oh gosh. Yuri's fighting moves are crazy. Like your punch,
Dude.
your kick, your uppercut, your Hadouken.
Calm down.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting how he was doing the Street Fighter moves, even though Street Fighter definitely was not invented yet.
He made it up.
It was him.
Yeah.
Street Fighter is inspired. Ryu is inspired by Yuri.
Yes, he really is a mysterious Yorfu master.
Die, mysterious Yorfu master.
So good.
I mean, it's equally as creepy as it is funny. You smelled her from the car?
Yeah.
That was hilarious, but also, oh, woof.
And it turns out Yor could also sense Yuri's presence there.
Sense. There's a difference between sensing and smelling, okay? I mean, I guess smell is one of your senses.
Yeah.
I think that was her big sisterly intuition. Yuri's was creepy younger brother stuff. Don't do that.
Yeah, there's a big difference there. Millie telling Yor that she's always thought of her as a weird, clueless robot, but now she sees her more as a kindly gorilla. To which Yor just was like, "No, I'm a human being." I don't know. I thought that was very funny.
She takes things very literally.
Yes, it's awesome.
And also, it's like, no, I'm not strange. I'm normal human. Look, I go skateboards. I think I was trying to reference something, but I don't think you've probably seen it.
No.
Do not dare to dream. Oh yeah, that was Loid when Anya comes out. It's just has the longest snot thing. It's like, oh my gosh, look at it.
The Snotaconda.
The Snotaconda. He's like, do not dare to dream. It's impossible.
Oh yeah. I also really like the little callback to the time when Loid tried to make a terrible Spy Wars cartoon.
Yes.
That made me chuckle.
I already tried that. Papa, that cartoon was terrible. Koala power. We moved on from Chihuahua power. Now we're all about koala power.
Oh yeah, it's an upgrade. And of course, Anya dressing up like she's overcome rigorous training. That was hilarious. And on top of that, like the beard that she drew on wouldn't come off for the exam.
So funny. uh
uh, yeah. Yeah, that was a great way to end the volume.
it really was. Honestly, I felt like Rambo was gonna come out with machine gun.
Yeah.
Anya. I don't think Rambo had facial hair now. I think, but anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was cleanly shaved.
He was clean shaved
somehow.
But So yeah, really funny volume as always.
Absolutely.
I'm continually impressed with Endo's ability to make me laugh.
Yeah.
Very good.
I agree. So with that, let's move on to some of our predictions.
Yes.
Well, Wheeler is still alive, so I would love to see him be questioned by Wise. I think that could lead to some interesting stuff, and I think also it might be interesting if he would end up escaping somehow further down the line.
Yes.
Because I think there is potential with this character.
I agree.
And especially considering that Twilight mentioned that it might be dangerous to keep him alive, I think that may end up proving to be true, that it was indeed a dangerous choice to spare his life, potentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my prediction about Wheeler right now.
You make a good point, because they talked about it. They, instead of just kind of moving on to the next scene, they talked about, hey, we need to take him into custody, not kill him, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a guarantee that means he'll come back, but that's a decent indication. I feel like this story will have some sort of antagonist villain type guy, and then he's done away with, captured, etc. We don't really see him again. But Wheeler is this interesting character that has potential in various aspects, that it would be interesting to see him come back. And honestly, I would like to have there be a enemy spy that's in the caliber of Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it would be really sad if it got his family into trouble and would compromise Operation Strix, and I don't know how'd you go back to the mission in that case, but I don't know. It could be interesting. It could be very funny if some spy feel like he figured it out and decides to go after the weak link.
Aka your.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great.
And I think that could be really funny if it just turns out terribly for this spy.
Yeah.
And he never really releases any of his thoughts about it, so they still keep the family safe and hidden.
Right, because he doesn't dare to do anything after having encountered your.
Oh yes, that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's some potential future plot points, but I would be down for more Wheeler. Seems like a good villain
for sure.
I think that Anya will pass one test. I mean, I don't know. My faith in her, or my belief in the fact that she can actually pass them all, is little to none. I just don't have faith that she's gonna suddenly figure out math. I have faith in her language skills, and I feel like he did a great job teaching her Sigmund.
Yeah, right.
So I think she'll pass that, and then really badly bomb another.
I see. Yeah,
that's kind of my thinking.
That's probably the most realistic option, to be fair, considering how absolutely terribly she's been doing in the past. As Twilight was looking at the mountain of corpses. But well, I actually wrote in my notes that I think Sigmund's tutoring will be proven to have been successful. In that I guess I was very optimistic when I wrote my notes, in thinking that she would pass more or less everything. At the very least, I think her. Well, maybe I still think so. That her grades will end up being similar enough to like Becky's and Damien's, so that they can continue to go to the end, like to be in the same class. Because I feel like for the sake of the story, it would harm the story if
Yeah.
Anya would be separated from the others.
I mean,
So
that's a great
with
point.
that, I think she needs to do better than one might expect.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, and we didn't really talk about that plot point where the next class for the, I guess, the next term, whatever,
Hmm.
the classes will be decided based on your grades.
Right.
And so it's important for Anya to be able to score similarly to at least Damien, but I'm sure it'd be sad if they separate from Becky.
I feel like Becky and Damien, or well, I guess I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that Becky and Damien are already kind of similar in academic skills.
I'd probably put Becky ahead of Damien. Not to say I don't think Damien's capable, but I feel like Damien has a little more weaknesses
That might
in
be
studying that. I think
maybe.
Becky's probably pretty smart. I I don't know. That's just my assumption. But yeah, that's a great point. I just don't. I think the punchline's gonna be that she studied classical language so hard
Hmm.
that she unfortunately she passes that one, but she unfortunately fails another one, like so pretty badly. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying like a 0. I think that'd be ridiculous. But hey, maybe it evens out somehow. I mean, that'd be pretty crazy. Can you do so good that all
in
that
one
the
in
bad
one
scores just
subject.
even out in one sub? I don't know. Doesn't seem quite right, but
No,
I don't know.
I don't know. Eden Academy.
Yeah,
maybe there's a loophole or something.
but you make a good point. She needs to stay with the class.
She needs to.
Well, I wrote it down, so whatever.
But
We'll see what happens.
we got it. We got to see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I still think one of Lloyd's new VIP patients will be Melinda.
Oh
Um,
yes, yes.
we talked about this in, I think it was just the previous discussion, how I think Melinda was, or, or was it the previous?
I think it
Basically, I
was
think,
our previous one. At least, yeah,
yeah,
it was recently anyway.
yeah, basically that Lloyd was suggested to Melinda.
Precisely, yeah, to be like her psychiatrist.
Yeah. And then we saw the VIP files uh, in this volume. Not we didn't see who they were, but I'm assuming it's Melinda, or at least one of them is Melinda.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Uh, so I think we'll see that in the future, or that predictions could be still going.
I like it.
Yeah, I have one more. Do you have any others?
I have one more as well, but you can go ahead.
Okay, Anya was so we had a very short mission where we see Anya write her name,
Oh yeah,
um,
right.
and she misspelled it.
Well,
And Loid was like, "Oh, hey, it's supposed to be with a Y." She's like, "Oh, okay." And then she just sits on her room and says Anya. Now, you could chalk that up to her being just this, you know, ignorant, not or just didn't know, a simple child mistake. But what I don't understand is why she'd be so either melancholy or lost in thought about it.
yeah.
And I feel like it has to be a deliberate reason for focus on this little spelling error.
Hmm.
And so my potential two theories for this are Anya was not her original name, but eventually she, at a younger age, even younger age, I guess,
Yeah.
because she's still pretty young, at a younger age, was told to change it to Anya, and so she didn't really learn how to spell it.
Hmm.
Or, and this I think is a lot more interesting, her project name was ANIA. I don't know what
Ooh.
that stands for, but ANIA.
Ooh.
and that became her name, Anya. And I guess I don't know,
Um,
maybe in the paperwork they changed it to Y, or that's just not that's who spells it Ania.
mm,
You know,
mm.
it's supposed to be spelled with a Y, so they did it that way.
Huh.
Um, but that's my guess is that whatever kind of group experimented on her, the project's initials were Ania.
That's fun. I didn't think much of this chapter, honestly,
Okay, well, let's move on.
but
I
no,
was
no,
kidding.
but you bring interesting points. Honestly, when I read this, and maybe I guess I'm torn now, but um, I assumed it was Yor who misspelled it because she said right before we see it, she says, "Shall I carve it for you? I'm good with blades," and then the next panel is the sign, and it's carved with blades. So I thought Yor was the one who misspelled it, and it was just like a joke on her, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I
Weird.
don't know. I mean, she's doing it herself in the panel,
Oh,
and
you're right.
and yours offering to do
That's
it.
true. That's true. It was just an offer.
I don't know. I think it was Anya who wrote it.
Mm.
Um, but you think Yor would have corrected her, right? Or
If Yor even
but
knew how to spell Anya's name.
yeah, maybe not. Maybe not.
Uh,
Um,
but
who knows?
but yeah, no, that's still interesting though about her potential past.
And it shows her holding the chimera, and
Mm.
there has to be some sort of
Yeah,
chimera connection with her because it just is the image that's so associated with her.
absolutely,
I,
absolutely. No, that's a very good point.
I feel like there's something here. There's something here.
There is. You're right, and I was a fool for not noticing. uh,
You fool! That's all I have for predictions.
awesome. Then I'll share my last one. And well, Twilight doesn't seem to quite be able to relax 100% around the Althans. And like he seems to mostly trust them, I guess. But there was still like the last little
Yeah,
comment about him. Like for now, they seem fine. But I guess it comes with his line of work to be suspicious. I get that. Um,
yeah.
and I guess you could view his suspicion as being founded in something, or that it's foreshadowing something, or whatever. But my prediction about the Althen couple is going to be that they have nothing fishy going on. Sure, there could be more to them than meets the eye, but I don't think there's anything fishy uh,
Yeah.
that could be revealed. I think they are, as their name implies, authentic
Hmm.
through and through.
I'm there with you.
Nice.
As I was saying in our Sigmund discussion, I think there's potential to explore more of his background and maybe what he
Hmm.
was doing in the war. But I don't think any of it's going to be nefarious.
Right.
And I don't think they're trying to fool them. Um, I mean, it could be a great twist if they were, but
Oh,
I don't think
right.
that's the
It
case.
would be too sad if they turn out to be
It
like
would be
backstabbers or
really sad.
something. Yeah.
It would be
I
really
would not
sad.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Then I guess final question. Who was the star of this volume?
Oh man, that's a good question. Um,
Shall I give mine first?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I didn't think about this one.
No, it's all good. It's all good. For me, it was Yor, and it's primarily because of how brilliantly she defended Millie.
Oh, you're
Like
right. That
that
was really
scene was
good.
just so fantastic to me. Like
Yeah.
that made Yor my star for this one. Sigmund, I think, was a close second, and like I guess mostly the way he was teaching and like his teaching method, I guess, and also how much I felt for him during the time when he was lost outside and whatnot. Uh, but yeah, anyway, Yor is my number one here.
I love that pick, and honestly, I could easily give it to her. I could easily give it to Sigmund too. Those are the two I was thinking of.
Nice.
But then I remembered Naked Loid, and so I gotta give it to Loid because pull yourself together.
Nice.
You know. No, I think on a serious note, I think I give it to to Yuri. Not you. No. No, I give it to Yor. I think, yeah.
Nice.
Based on everything you said.
Awesome. Lovely.
There were no peanuts at all.
Oh.
In this volume.
Not even a trace of peanuts.
Not a single peanut. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the world coming to?
Hoping for some peanuts next time.
I really don't have anything much to say. I'm still really enjoying the manga, and can't wait to see season 3 animated whenever I think that happens this year sometime. So.
Oh, has that been confirmed? I've missed that in that case.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, very exciting. Sweet. Then, if you enjoy our podcast, please share it with your friends. You'll find links to our social media in the description, and you can support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 14. Bye-bye!
See you later!
Oh my god, what's wrong with me?